we find very broad powers vested on the president in terms of this anti-terrorism bill. The simple fact of the president believing there's a possibility or likelihood of an offence to be committed under the anti-terrorism bill itself would suffice and give him powers to impose a curfew. The definition provided in the Act is any person who commits an act or omission which compels a state of Sri Lanka or an international government or an international organization to do something or not do something, and in the process of that series of actions, if there's any jeopardy caused to public space, public transportation or public safety, it is defined as an act of terrorism. So the Supreme Court, whilst recognizing this danger, has proposed there to be an exception for legitimate dissent in the definition. For example, even though the definition remains the same, there should be an exception where legitimate political activity, legitimate strikes, legitimate protests, or actions of legitimate advocacy and dissent would be exempted from being branded as terrorist activities or to fall under the definition of terrorism under the Anti-Terrorism Bill. So I think the Supreme Court makes a very valuable observation, and also it's very important that this definition is considered to be unconstitutional unless there is an exception to carve out the legitimate rights for dissent of the people. Firstly, the President, if in his opinion feels that an offence of terrorism is likely to be caused or committed by a particular group or organization, he has the power to proscribe that organization. Secondly, moving on, the President also has a power, a very broad power, to obtain restriction orders against the person. Thirdly, the President, in terms of the Anti-Terrorism Bill, has powers to issue curfew orders. The issue with curfew is this power of the President to impose a curfew is not regulated or checked or balanced by any institution. With regard to the power of the President to issue restriction orders also is very serious. He can basically curtail activities of any person as he pleases. If this happens to a trade unionist, if this happens to a popular politician, if this happens to a civil rights activist, it would create a huge impact on our society, because there are some people in our country, in movements, they represent a massive organization or massive group of people. If those people agitate, that could lead to many, basically chaos. Also, I think it's important to revise these clauses because proscribing organizations based on a very broad definition of terrorism as provided in the Anti-Terrorism Bill could be extremely dangerous.